Hello everybody. Today I'm going to test these, which are, this is an aftermarket one, a new one I bought, and this is the original. They're off the Land Rover Discovery, what I've got. I did a video before doing checking the compressor over. Well, we fitted that back to the car and it seems to be working. Because we had a pressure problem, it wasn't venting apparently, so it wasn't enabling the car to go up or down or whatever. But what I found out is, to make sure that this bit, let me just get my bearings, right, it's that way up on the car normally. So the main air line from the compressor comes into this one, and then this one goes up and charges the big air tank, what keeps the air tank full, so you've got pressure, constant pressure, so it can be lifted up or down. And these two are what go to the front and rear airbags. Now, there's a constant, I found out that if once it was pressurized, if I took this pipe off here, which is going to the compressor, if no air came out of there, then apparently the fault isn't with the compressor, because this solenoid works with this temperature, pressure sensor, whatever it is there, and it sends pressure to the front and rear when it needs it, and then obviously when it wants to let air out to keep the car level, it sends it back towards the compressor, and then the compressor has the vent, the pressure relief valve on to vent it. Because there's no air coming out of this one here, when I release the pipe, when it's under pressure, I believe there's something wrong from this side of the solenoid. So either the solenoid's not working properly, or there's something not letting the pressure come back from this side of the system. So I'm going to test these, do a solenoid test, and do an air test to make sure the air is flowing through when the solenoid, if the solenoid activates, whatever. And then if that all checks out, then I've got to look elsewhere on the car. So yeah, so we'll get some stuff together what I need to do this, and then I'll come back to you. Right, what I think I'm going to do is, this is the solenoid, these blocks here. So I'm going to remove the 3 screws, take the solenoid completely off the valve to start with, just make sure the seals are okay inside. But I want to do an actuator test on them, but I want to make sure that I could do it while they're like that, and I'd hear it clicking if it's working, but I'd rather take it off and see the pin inside and make sure it's actually physically moving. So I think I'll do that first, get these 2 off. Fortunately, the original has stars, so like a star shape, and the aftermarket one I got is a Phillips head, so I'll get these off to start with. Right, so there's a pin in there with a air hole in, and there's a O-ring on that, what's just come off that. So I presume that just sits in there nicely. I don't know, I'll just leave that like that for now. So that is in there, obviously. So there should be slightly different, because like I say, that's an aftermarket one, and this is the original. And I don't think that comes out there. That collar comes off. Does that come out? Oh yeah, there we go. Now there's a spring on that one. So they're totally different how they work, it looks like. So bear with me on this one, because what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove, I presume that's the pit that'll shoot in and out. So what I'm going to do is put these into these. I'll move these valves out of the way a second. That's the all from the original, that's from the new. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I've got my voltage supply here, so I'm going to set it to 12 volts. There we go. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to connect the negative up. Just put that sheathing back on so it protects it. So I'm going to connect the negative onto that pin there. Now I'm going to keep my finger. It's come off again. I'll get that to there. Just got to go connect it. There we go. I was going to keep my finger on that because I don't want it shooting off everywhere. I'm just going to apply the power to this now and see what it does. Ah, there we go. It's pulling it inwards. So that's obviously going to pass the air through, isn't it? Once it pulls it. Just see if this one does the same. Well, it's doing something, but it's not doing the same as what that one did. But the both solenoids are working anyway, so I'll put that to one side for a second. So I know they're working, the free and clear. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put them back together. And then what I need to do then is apply some air pressure to each one of these ports to make sure that these are not letting any air pass anywhere on both of them. And then now I know the solenoid's working. If there's no air passing when that solenoid's not active, then what I need to do is connect up an air line. So what I'd do, I'd start from where the air line comes in from the mains and the compressor, run pressure some air into there, and then activate the solenoid to see if it ejects, things like that, you know, and just test each side, put an air line to these to make sure it passes back that way as well. And then yeah, if both of them are doing that, then I've eliminated these from being the problem. So then I may have to test the front and rear valve blocks. I'm going to also try and get it on the car onto axle stands, disconnect the air lines from these valve blocks to where they go to, blow down that air line with the pressurized air to make sure it's clear, and then disconnect from the valve blocks to the airbags, the same again with those pipes, blow them through, make sure they're clear. Because basically I'm just trying to eliminate everything on the mechanical side of the air suspension system. And then if I know everything is working how it should, then the only thing it could be is the wiring, which is, if you look on the internet, you'll find out a lot of people say that the wiring has issues, especially where it runs from the wheel arch at the front passenger side to the compressor and everything. But I just want to make sure everything else is eliminated before I have to start rewiring things, because there's a hell of a lot of wires. And to be honest, do I really fancy doing it? No, but I want to get the thing working. So yeah, right. What I'll do, I'll put these back together how they was now, and then we'll come back and figure out how we're going to get some air into them. Right, okay. So what I'm going to do with this is, I've got this pipe here, which I'm going to have to get a 12mm spanner for. This is off the car originally, so this won't go back together properly, so I'm going to leave this one for till later on in the video, because now I know the solenoid is working. This is the original, and if all the passes work with the air, then I'm not going to bother with this, because this is a cheap, nasty repair aftermarket one. This is the original, so I want to put this back on if I can. So, and because it's playing me about with the getting the shaft back in, if this works, I'm not going to really bother with that, I don't think, unless I have to. So, but I don't think I've got a 12mm spanner up here. That's a 10. So I'll have to stop it there, and I'm going to go and find myself a 12mm spanner, so I'll be back shortly. Okay, so now I've got to get some air through it. So I've got this air pump, which once I've set it, I might wrap it in a towel, try and cut the noise down. So on the video, obviously, because I don't want it to deafen you. But what I've got is this little rubber L piece, and I've got this valve rubber with a connector on, so I can connect that to that, like so. And then obviously I can use this piece because that'll slot into there, and then I can screw this into it every port to test it. But because there's going to be pressure going through, these are going to pop back off, so I need to fix that to that and then get that into there. So what I'm planning on doing, I'm going to stick a bit of super glue around that, slot it in, leave that to set there, and then I'm going to get my hot air gun light heat, soften this up, bit of glue on this, and then get that over there. So then that's sealed on, and then that's made one solid piece, and then I can literally just slot it into there, connect this up to either of them, and then put the pressure through it. So that's what I'm going to do now. Okay, now that's glued on there, that's not coming off, and that's not coming out of there. So now I should have a nice solid piece. So if I slot that into there, that's not coming out there. So now I've got the pipe sorted. So what I shall do, this is the, like I said, this is the main in from the compressor. So I'll put some pressure to this bit first. And I didn't find a 12mm spanner, so I'm using these to do the same job. Right, so that's connected to that now. So put it that way like that. Connect that to that. So there we go. So what I've done, I'm gonna turn this on. I've set it to basketball or football setting because that's 8 psi. I don't think I'll need any more than that to test it. Don't want to put too much pressure to it in case I blow any seals inside. So now I've set that, I'm just gonna try and wrap this up, I think, and then hopefully it'll cut down the noise. So I've got a bit of a thick towel here. So I'm just gonna wrap that over, double back on it actually, and hopefully that'll cut down the noise a bit. So first I'm going to turn it on and just see if this pressure's up and there's no air coming out of anywhere because the solenoid isn't activated. So we'll power that up and see. Make sure it's on. Right, so that's not a good start. That seems to be passing air there, and that's passing a little bit, which is telling me that it shouldn't be. It should be all. I mean, I think it will come out of this one because that's close to the air tank, and that's before the solenoid. So I tried block that up with my finger, and they were still passing through here, and I don't think they should be until that solenoid kicks in. I'll just have a quick double check again, and I'll get back to you on that. Okay, I've had a bit of a read, and it's telling me to test it through the reservoir link there. So I've plugged this in directly into that one, and it's saying put 50 psi. So get it up to 50. Now there should be any air come out of these now, these holes here. So we'll give that a try. On 50. Unfortunately, there is air coming out of these two. So what I read was, I'm going to take this back off. See if I can get that out and make it easier. There we go. Take this off. And it said that if there's a groove in the rubber on the end of the piston, it's probably that's not seating and letting some air through. So what I'm going to do is, it's recommended to, as a temporary thing, just to see if it fixes it, is to stretch the spring. But what I'll do, I'll get into it and then I'll explain. Right, okay. So on this, there's a spring. the spring there, and there's a little plunger there as well, and it is dented, and there's a groove in the top. I don't know if you can tell from that there. I'll see if we can, but there's a groove on the top of it, and that's just down to wear and tear over the years. So I'm going to see if this comes off at all. Yeah. Can't tell if that rubber must come off, because you can. He said you can buy repair kits for it. Let's try and twist it off. See it comes off. I can't tell whether that's the springs fastened to it or what. I don't want to pull it too much and then it break. So there we go. That's the spring off. Does this rubber thing come off the end? It doesn't look like it. It must come out, that rubber. It must do. Well, anyway, what it's told me to do, that is grooved, so there's nothing I can do about that anyway, because I need to get a new kit. But it was saying, because this spring is obviously, it's the original, it's been working for 20 plus years. So it says if you pull it and just slightly stretch it a mil or so, it looks a couple of mil bigger. Just keep a bit of a stretch on it. It looks a bit stretchier. So we'll try and get that back over the top. Sorry, I'm just trying to twist this spring on, back on. Right, that's back on now. So I've stretched it out a tiny bit. You can see it's a bit wider now. So what I'm going to do is put that back in the piston. Put that back into its casing. There we go. Them seals look fine. Okay, so that's back on. So I shall connect that back to there. That back on there. And then set it to 50 again. There you go. Now let's see if that's done any difference. Well, it is better, but it's still leaking air out. Another thing, while I was away and looking at things, it said to test the solenoid, electrical test it. I have actually tested that the solenoid works, but we've got to check the ohmage to make sure the electrical side of it's working. So I'll just connect these up to this to show you. It should be getting between 2 and 3 ohms across these two pins. Let's get them connected. Go the other way. Here we go. 2.2, so that's fine. So yeah, the electrical side's okay. The solenoid's actuating, but it seems to me like it's letting some air out of here, and he said it shouldn't. If you feed it through the reservoir, it shouldn't come out of these until that is actuated. There's another test I can do just to make sure that it does change. It does get more out of these when you actuate that, which I can do now just to see, because to make sure it is working properly. But the problem I'm getting is probably because this is passing the air out when it shouldn't be. So all I'll do is connect that one to there. Solve that there, then I'll put this air back in, and then we shall just check that that's connected so I can. Yep, there you go. You can hear the solenoid going in. Click in there. So we'll go to 50 again. Start that up. No, that doesn't seem to be changing at all, the pressure. So that's not good. I'll do a little bit more research and I'll come back to this. Okay, I've done a bit more reading. What it's saying is that this reservoir block, there shouldn't be anything passing that way or this way. It should be holding the pressure in the reservoir tank until this actuates when there's fluctuations with the other valve blocks or the compressor to even the pressure up and keep it at one pressure all the time, so it keeps the car level. When I tested it with the pipe going into the reservoir down to here, it says no air should come out of any of these ports, because that is obviously effectively cut off until the solenoid needs to work. But on other things I've read, it said to connect up to the inlet, that's that one there, where the compressor pumps air in, So I have actually tried this, but I'm doing it on the video now to show you. So I put it in this one. I've checked this one. It's not working, just like that one. Doing exactly the same thing. And this one's an aftermarket. So obviously it's not that good. So yeah, so I'll screw this into where the inlet from the compressor comes in. Now what it's said to do is to connect the airline to this bit, like so, and then cover, either bung up these two holes, or put your fingers over them, which I'll do that. So I've got my fingers firmly in those, and then get your air supply on. So I'll get it to 50. Now when I pump this in, it's saying the same as the other way. There shouldn't be anything with these blocked up and air coming in here. There shouldn't be anything going in there, coming out of there, which is going to go into the reservoir, unless that solenoid is actuated. So I'll just turn this on. Let's hear that changing the sound. There's air pumping through there. So that is not holding air in the tank, and it's not stopping air going up to the tank. And it's exactly the same on that one. So I've done the two tests both ways. I've checked the solenoids like I showed you on the, earlier on. The clicking, the solenoid working, the ohms readings spot on. So everything's working. So there must be something wrong with the valve or the just weight seals. I've changed the I've not done a full valve replacement kit because there is a like I showed you, the rubber seal on the end of the piston where the spring is. Apparently there's a kit where you can change that. But I've actually changed the seals with a seal kit for the ports and everything, and obviously I haven't done anything. So what I might do is keep these two, because them solenoids are working, so I could possibly keep them for parts. These sensors I presume are working, so I'll keep them for that. So what I'm going to do is wrap this video up, because there's nothing more else really I can do. I'm just going to get a new valve block, and then I'll come back to this with a video, possibly do a video of me fitting the valve block to the car, then you can see the process. But yeah, that's the plan. I think I'm going to get a new valve block and then take the diagnostics for the suspension from there. Right, well, thanks again, thanks for watching. I hope if anyone's having trouble with their Land Rover, this has helped them if they're having the same problems. And yeah, I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching, bye.